I have a lot of plants around the house, but most of them are fake, so sometimes I actually forget to water the ones that are real, and they don't really respond very well to that. So today we're going to check out something I'd never heard of before, which is a solar-powered indoor irrigation system by RainPoint. This should work perfectly to keep my indoor plants watered, but also integrate into my smart home so I don't have to do it manually myself. Thank you to RainPoint for sponsoring this video. Once you open the box, the main thing that you'll find is the water pump itself, which is fairly sizable and it has a big solar panel on it for solar recharging. You'll also find the gateway or hub, which connects all of the devices together to your app and also to smart service integrations. And the irrigation system itself, so lots of tubing and all sorts of different fittings that you can add to the tubing when you're setting this up. RainPoint did also send me an indoor humidity sensor to try out, which has definitely been nice. It's a great way to monitor both the humidity and the temperature in my house, and all I had to do was add some AA batteries and it easily connected to the app. You probably noticed that the water pump has this big metal hook on it, which is going to be a way for you to add it to the outside of a pot or to hang it wherever you'd like to in order to get the adequate amount of sunlight. So with that big solar panel, you should be fine as long as it gets at least some sunlight every day, but either way, even if you don't, it does have a 15-day battery life so that you can have all of your plants watered even if it's not actively recharging. So the setup for the system is actually pretty simple. The first thing that you want to do is download the HomeGar app, which is in the App Store. There is also a QR code in the manual that you can scan to access it. Once you've got that open and you have your account set up, you basically just want to unplug and replug the battery on the water pump. This will put it into its pairing mode. Now in the HomeGar app, you'll press the plus sign on the top right, choose that you're wanting to add the water pump, and then follow the prompts to add it into your app. Now we'll go over the app a little bit more in a moment, but as far as the physical setup, the next step will be to add the tubing to your pump. So you'll notice on the right side of the pump, there are two little barbed areas where you can add tubing. The top one, which is the inlet, will be what you connect your water source to. So in my case, I'm just using a little plastic tub. I connected one end of the tube to the pump itself, and then the other end is going to go into my water reservoir. And you can easily cut this tubing to size using just regular scissors, so you can kind of customize it to whatever the distance will be between your tank and the pump itself. Now the bottom fitting will be your outlet, meaning that's what's going to lead to your plants that you're watering. Now for the end of the tube that goes into your water source, I would definitely recommend putting the filter on it, because this filters out anything that you don't want to go through your pump that could damage it. It also weighs it down so it goes to the very bottom of the container that it's in. And for this section of the tubing, you have quite a few different options for the fittings that you can use to adapt it to your space and make sure everything fits properly with the plants that you're using it on. So firstly, there are T-fittings. Basically, just by cutting it and then installing this fitting, it'll make your primary tube keep going, but also have an outlet so you can go to one plant. There is also a check valve that you can use, which prevents any backflow of water from going back into your pump when it's not supposed to. There are deep root fittings, which you can use once you're at the plant itself. You plug it into the end of the tube and you actually push it down into the soil so that when you're watering that plant, it doesn't just water the top level of soil, it actually gets deep down and penetrates into the roots. Plus, you do also have end cap fittings, basically meaning whenever you're done with a specific part of the tube, you just plug the very end of it so that no water leaks out. Now these are all barbed push connections, so it's very easy to use them. And I will say you definitely do get your money's worth, because this tube is extremely long. It's definitely a lot longer than I needed it, so I have a lot of extra tubing. But I guess that does make sense, because RainPoint does say that you can use this pump to connect up to 10 plants. So whether you have them all very close together or far apart, you should be able to cater this system to your needs. Now let's talk about the app. Again, it's called HomeGar, and you can use this app to control any of your RainPoint products, including the humidity sensor that they sent me, this water pump, and so forth. Once you have the water pump added to the app and you open it up, you'll see there are a few different options that you can press. The most simple of which is the button that's called Irrigation. This is basically just a manual way to turn on the water for a set amount of time. So when you press that button, you just choose the amount of time you want it to stay on for, and then it'll run for that time and turn off by itself. Otherwise, the other button that's a little bit more complex is called Plan, and this is basically just a way to set a schedule for your water pump. So basically you just choose the days, the time, and again, how long you want it to run, and once you turn that on, it'll stick to that schedule and automatically water for you. There is also a toggle switch called Plan Bypass, which basically is just a way to turn off the schedule for a set amount of time. So if you don't want your plants to be watered for 24, 48, or up to 72 hours, you just turn that on, and then once that time comes up, the schedule goes back on as normal. There is also a calendar button, so this will just show you visually for the whole month when it's scheduled to turn on or off. Now, since this product isn't actually connected to a water supply and it runs off of water that you have in a bucket or a tub, you will end up running out of water eventually, and the app does alert you when that happens. So when the pump turns on, if it doesn't detect water, it'll send you a notification and stop pumping as to not damage anything. Similar to that, there is also a low power alarm. So if your solar cell isn't next to a window, or if it's not getting enough sunlight and the battery is draining, it does alert you when the battery gets too low so that you know to recharge it or to put it in the sun. And side note, another feature that I actually really liked about this app is something I really haven't seen before. It's called UI DIY, which is basically just a way to customize what the UI looks like on the app whenever you use it. So instead of just having a default pre-selected screen, you can actually choose the background that shows up when you open up the water pump. And there are options that are kind of stock images, or you can even add your own photo. You can also adjust the color of the font as well. So it's actually really customizable. If you want to tweak how it looks and make it your own, you absolutely can. Again, this isn't really a feature I've seen on an app like this before, so I thought that was pretty cool. Overall, after testing this out, I would say that it worked pretty seamlessly. The app was easy to connect to and use. You get all sorts of different fittings and adapters that you can use to cater it to your specific needs. And again, this is the only product that I've seen that does indoor irrigation, so you don't have to worry about manually watering the houseplants. I think this would be a great purchase, especially if you're a plant lover, or it would work as a good gift for a plant lover too. RainPoint was kind enough to offer a discount for my audience, so if you are interested in checking this out, make sure you go in my links in the description for an additional 10% off. Thank you again to RainPoint for sponsoring this video, and if you're looking for another one to check out, I'd recommend this one here. Thank you for watching.